Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today is another book review for you, and it's a book that I have done in the book club I'm in with Jazz over at Red Panda Reads. If you haven't seen her channel, a link is below this video. And the book that we read is Of Women and Salt by Gabriela Garcia. Now there's been a lot of hype about this book. So many interesting ideas in it. It has so many reviews on it. And I think I have an unpopular opinion on it. Before we get into the review in that book, don't forget if you like what you see to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see it as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. Your continuous support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. First of all, how pretty is this book? It's so green. It's just so bright. It really stands out on the shelf, and the artwork is really interesting. It is a New York Times bestseller. Elizabeth McNeil says it's extraordinary. Kieran Millwood Hargrave says I devoured it. Washington Post says mesmerizing. Stylist says fascinating. On the back, Washington Post says a mesmerizing patchwork of determination, courage and survival. New York Times says captures the hope and pain of immigration. And Harper's Bazaar says a sweeping tour de force about addiction, displacement and the legacy of trauma. We also have Angie Cruz says Garcia's strong, willful women negotiating how to survive in this world are easy to fall for. And Roxanne Gay says captures the lives of Cuban women with precision and generosity and beauty. As always in my book reviews, I will read you guys the blurb first. We are force, we are more than we think we are. 1866, Cuba. Maria Isabel works in a cigar factory as her country buckles under political upheaval. Soon she begins to see marriage and motherhood as her only options, but the sounds of war are approaching. Almost 100 years later, as Maria Isabel's descendant Dolores watches her husband make for the mountains in answer to Fidel Castro's call to arms, she decides to commit an act of violence to protect her children, even if it might destroy her daughter Carmen's world. In Miami in 2016, Carmen wrestles with her past as she fights to save her daughter Jeanette from addiction. But Jeanette must save herself. She must learn her family's history, and so she travels to Cuba, to her grandmother's crumbling house in whose walls lies a secret that might just tie together this fearless line of women. So it sounds really interesting, right? I didn't find it so. This may be quite a short review, so I'm not actually going to split it into spoiler-free and spoiler zone. So if you haven't read this book and you don't want to hear about it, please look away now. If you do want to hear about this book, then stay tuned. So as I say, I think I have an unpopular opinion, but I did find in the book club, everyone started the book club by praising, but then as soon as one of us said something bad, the floodgates opened, and it's not all bad. Things this book does really well is it represents Cuba perfectly. It has lots of strong women, which is great. It has very nice description. Something it doesn't do well. It is around 200 pages long and it has 7 points of view. 7. So that's less than 50 pages per protagonist. For me, it felt like reading 7 prologues. It was prologues to a story that never continued. The first story is Maria Isabel, and I got so into the story. I was really interested in this character, and then it stops to never return. The main character that we follow the most is Jeanette. Now, Jeanette suffers from addiction, but I didn't really see the addiction so much. It showed it a bit, but it hasn't stuck in my head. Ultimately though, this book does have a really good meaning and purpose. It is there to teach us about things that women go through, about what people going through immigration go through, about all those horrible nitty-gritty things: abuse, addiction, immigration, illegal immigration, deportation. It's in here. Also about Cuba, which is a country quite a lot of people haven't been to, myself included, but from people who have been, it has a very good depiction of Cuba. It's very accurate. However, although the book tackles such severe issues, I didn't care about the characters. I knew who the characters were, but then at the same time, I still had to go back constantly to this family tree because I didn't know where everyone was on this timeline, because it's not linear, which is great because it's more interesting. However, when I don't know the characters well enough to recognize them at the start of a chapter, then it gets a bit confusing. Something I really wanted to know as well is, how did Dolores cope after what she did to her partner? I wanted to know, how did Maria Isabella cope after her partner was killed? The story ends. I don't find this out. I think perhaps the characters whose story did work for me was Anna and Gloria, who are not in this family. They are a Cuban mother and daughter who are being deported, and their story I understood, I could see their goals, but even that felt like it was lacking. Just time elapsed with no information. All the way through this book, there's one thing that is supposed to keep it together. As it says in the blurb, whose walls lies a secret that might just tie together this fearless line of women, which is where We Are Force comes from. What this is referring to is a book that is hidden in the walls of Dolores' house when Jeanette goes to visit, and she finds this book, and in the margin it says We Are Force. This book was given to Marie Isabelle by her husband way back in 1866. What I don't understand is why this book was so important. It is a book of value. It's a first edition. It is very old. That's great, but I don't see how it ties them together. I don't know why it was so important. Now, as I say, this is going to be a very unpopular review. It has good points, and I would recommend read it, but it's one that I wouldn't read again, and it's one that I feel could have been done better. If you've seen my review on Cantores, the link is above me now if you haven't, that book deals with a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma, and feminism, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, but it sticks to these characters and it does it so well. You get so sucked into it. I was expecting this book to do the same as that, and it just didn't achieve it for me. Overall, as I said, this is going to be a very short review. I'm going to give this book 5 out of 10 stars. I am ready for the backlash. I know. I agree with what this book is trying to show. I agree wholeheartedly with the issues that it is teaching us about. And I want to love it, and I want it to show me these issues. I think what I needed it to do was just have multiple books that go through this generation, or at least have a thicker book that gives me more pages per character so I can get to know them more. Another thing I want to bring up is the Panther chapter, which is for Carmen, Jeanette's mom. I don't understand the Panther. For me, it almost felt like the middle of the book had hit and Garcia needed to add some interest, so she added a panther to create tension. I know there's a whole thing about how it's a metaphor for how Carmen doesn't deal with problems that occur. She's spent her whole life drifting over problems ever since seeing what Dolores did to her father. She has just avoided them, ignores them, and hopes they go away, which obviously what the panther, I guess, is supposed to represent. But really? So 5 out of 10 stars. I'm sorry. I hope you guys enjoy this more than I did. And that's it for this very short book review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed what you see. If you like this channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you want to see since I upload, click that little bell down below. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. I post general bookish pictures, as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!